My name is John, and this is the story of how my silence became the most devastating revenge against my wife, Amanda. We were the perfect couple, or so everyone thought. We'd been married for 10 years, living in a beautiful home, both with successful careers. I thought we had it all, a life built on trust, love, and shared dreams. But one Tuesday evening, that perfect world shattered into a million pieces. I came home early, hoping to surprise Amanda with her favorite takeout. As I walked through the door, I heard voices from the living room. It wasn't the TV. It was Amanda, and she was laughing, a soft, intimate laugh I hadn't heard in years. And then I heard his voice, a man's voice, low and familiar. My heart stopped. I peeked around the corner, and there she was, in the arms of my supposed best friend, Mark. The takeout bag slipped from my hand, clattering to the floor. They jumped apart, their faces a mixture of shock and guilt. Amanda's eyes, wide with panic, met mine. "John, it's not what it looks like," she stammered, the oldest cliché in the book. Mark just stood there, unable to even look at me. I didn't scream, I didn't shout, I didn't throw things. A strange, cold calm washed over me. I simply turned around, picked up the spilled food, and walked out the door without saying a single word. That was the beginning of my silence. I spent that night at a cheap motel, my mind a whirlwind of betrayal and pain. Every shared memory was now tainted, every "I love you" a potential lie. The next morning, I went home to pack a bag. Amanda was there, her eyes red and swollen. She tried to talk to me, to explain, to apologize. "John, please, just say something. Yell at me, hit me, do anything, but don't just be silent," she pleaded, tears streaming down her face. I looked right through her, as if she were a ghost. I packed my clothes, my toiletries, my work essentials, all in complete silence. Her words were just noise, a meaningless buzz in the background of my shattered world. I walked past her, out of the house we had built together, and drove away. Her desperate cries followed me down the street, but they couldn't penetrate the wall of ice that had formed around my heart. In the days that followed, my silence became my weapon. I moved into a small apartment and filed for divorce. Amanda bombarded me with texts, voicemails, and emails. They were a desperate cocktail of apologies, justifications, and accusations. She blamed her loneliness, my long work hours, a midlife crisis, anything to lessen the weight of her betrayal. I read every message, listened to every voicemail, but never once did I reply. My lawyer handled all communication. When we had to meet to sign papers, I brought him with me. I treated Amanda like a business transaction, a stranger I had to deal with. The confusion and frustration in her eyes grew with each passing day. She was used to arguments, to emotional reactions. My complete and utter indifference was something she couldn't compute. It denied her the fight she craved, the emotional release of a screaming match, the chance to feel like she was at least part of a dynamic, however toxic. Wanted a reaction, any reaction, to prove I still cared. But my silence told her something far more terrifying. She no longer mattered. She had ceased to exist in my emotional landscape. Her power over me was gone. This wasn't a hot, fiery anger. It was a cold, desolate emptiness where my love for her used to be. Friends tried to intervene. They told me I needed to talk it out, to find closure. They didn't understand. My closure wasn't in conversation. It was in the quiet severing of ties. Mark tried to reach out too, with pathetic apologies about how it just happened. I blocked his number without a second thought. Their affair had made them the center of their own drama, and my refusal to participate stripped them of their audience. The divorce proceedings were clinical and swift. We sold the house. I took my half and started rebuilding my life from scratch. I focused on my work, hit the gym, reconnected with old hobbies. I was healing, slowly but surely, in the quiet space I had created for myself. Meanwhile, Amanda's life was unraveling. Without the drama of our fight, she was left alone with her guilt and the consequences of her actions. Her affair with Mark fizzled out almost immediately. Her fling was built on the thrill of the forbidden, the secret stolen moments. Once it was out in the open, exposed by my silent departure, the excitement vanished. It was just a tawdry affair between two weak people. They could unstand to look at each other because all they saw was a reflection of their own betrayal. I heard through mutual acquaintances that Amanda was struggling. She couldn't understand my reaction. She told people I was being cruel, that my silence was a form of psychological torture. And maybe, in a way, it was. But it was a torture she had inflicted upon herself. All I did was remove myself from the equation. I refused to play the role of the scorned husband. I refused to give her the satisfaction of my pain. She expected a storm, a hurricane of rage that would eventually pass. Instead, I gave her a vacuum, a void. Nature abhors a vacuum, and her mind rushed to fill it with self-doubt, regret, and a desperate gnawing need for the validation I would never again provide. She had burned down our life together, expecting me to fight the flames with her. Instead, I just walked away and let her stand alone in the ashes. Months later, I ran into her at a grocery store. It was the first time we'd been in the same space without lawyers since that fateful night. She looked tired, worn down. She tried to smile, a weak, hesitant gesture. "John," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "How are you?" I paused, looked at her for a moment, and saw a stranger. The woman I had loved was gone, replaced by this ghost of a memory. I gave her a polite, distant nod, the kind you'd give to a person you vaguely recognize but can't quite place. And then I pushed my cart past her and continued down the aisle, my silence speaking the final, definitive word. She didn't try to follow. In that moment, I think she finally understood. The revenge wasn't a grand, elaborate plan. It wasn't about hurting her as much as she hurt me. It was about showing her that by breaking my trust, she hadn't just damaged our relationship. She had erased it. She had made herself irrelevant. My silence wasn't a punishment. It was a consequence. It was the quiet, irreversible closing of a door, leaving her on the other side, forever trapped in the echo of what she had destroyed, and that was a revenge she could never, ever escape. I found peace not in yelling, but in quiet dignity. I learned that sometimes the most powerful statement you can make is to say nothing at all. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've been through something similar, know that your healing is the most important thing. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content. See you next time.